Hello everyone. France is a touristic and rather authoritarian country in Western Europe, where serving plant-based meals in school canteens was illegal until last year. But things are changing very fast, and we are trying to contribute to this movement. I am Cyril Ernst, and I co-founded Assiettes Végétales, which means plant-based plates in English, 1 year ago, and I've recently started to work full-time for it. We want to turn 9 million meals, archaic, old-fashioned meals per year, into modern plant-based meals by 2023 in university canteens, where there are about 70 million meals served per year. First, I want to convince you that changing the menus in the catering sector, whether it's universities or hospitals or schools or prisons or whatever, is the necessary step to a plant-based world. And the first reason for that is that it's a very large-scale change. Indeed, the number of meals involved are absolutely huge. In France, for example, the number of meals per year served in the catering sector of all time is 3 billion. So, of course, the whole sector won't change in one campaign. But even a tiny change to one of these subsectors, like hospitals or schools, is a huge number, a huge scale. The second reason for that is that by doing so, we can change the individual behavior by skipping the individual. Let me ask you something. Would you go car-free if it lacks public transport in your area? Would you buy a fair phone to fight slavery and worker exploitations and all the environmental destructions involved in the phone production process? Or would you stop using planes because it's the worst means of transportation for the planet? Well, I guess some people do, but it's a truism to say that our actions are not primarily led by what we call rationality or pure logic, or the will to do the good thing. And personally, I use my bike where I live because it's easy, and it makes me feel good about myself, but I have a standard phone and I came here by plane, however good the reasons are not to. This is to tell you that there are many reasons to not make a change. And some examples are, it's awkward, it's costly, it's not practical, or you don't see how your own behavior is going to change anything globally, or it's scary, etc. And I think this is why we shouldn't expect people to do that many efforts to change their diet. So the question for the urgent global diet change that we need to accomplish is how do we make it possible and easy, and how do we make it appealing, being socially rewarded, and valued. How do we turn this path into this motorway instead of the jingle we have here? Asking, and helping individuals to go plant-based is a positive action, but we also, and maybe we firstly need to create a lot more involuntary vegans, involuntary plant-based eaters, just by adding a plant-based on the menu. The thing is, if you don't ask them, you lead them to do it. We often consider that the more vegans, the more vegan choices you will have in restaurants, for example. But I think it's also the other way around. And also, let me mention that this type of campaigns will greatly help the people who are already vegan and will find it much more convenient when there is something on the menu. And the third thing I think is that this type of campaign helps to change the social acceptance of plant-based food. Because when you add a plant-based option to the list of choices in the catering system, then you make it not only possible to eat plant-based meals, but also you make it socially acceptable. You make it rewarding and you make it pleasant if it's good, if the cook is good. Creating a plant-based choice where there was nothing or almost nothing before, like in our case in university canteen in France. So it's not only a good way to change millions of meals, but also to change the way that the society views this type of plant-based food, thus making any further in that direction a bit easier. I think that's an important side effect, potential side effect. And in one word, you make it normal. I believe that normality is a key, since no mass movement will describe itself as abnormal. The psychological, I think, and social impact of meat reduction is huge, because we know how conformist people are, how we like to eat the same things, how we like to wear the same clothes, the same vegan tote bags, to comply to the same dominant ideas, and are the same social practices and so on. And there is a very good experiment made in the 50s in America by a psychologist called Ash. It's a classic of social psychology. And Ash, his experiments showed that the social pressure from a group can be extremely strong and influence our choices, of course. So he took one subject into his experiment, and he put him or her within a group of people who were actually actors and part of the experiment. And the subject had to rank 3 different lines, like IABC lines, according to the size, which is a very simple exercise, and do it 12 times out loud in front of the others. But the thing is that the actors were giving the wrong answers. And the interesting result is that only 25% of the subjects were consistently defining the group wrong answers, which means that 75s were not. But on the other hand, that's what's really interesting for us. It's one or more of the actors were giving a divergent answer. It really helped the subject to express a discordant responses themselves. So the conformity level lowered. And I think this is, in our case, a teaching, because when we break the hegemony of animal products on the menu, we allow people to express different preferences. And by seeing other people doing it, eating plant-based options, you create a new trend where nothing existed before. And here comes a socially awkward penguin. I don't know if you know me, but it's a penguin that is doing things that are awkward and reversed. Okay, it's working now. Oh. That's that. This is what I'm going to talk about. What we do at Assiettes Végétales, some problems that we had and some results, of course, and reasons to start a similar campaign in your country, whether you're an individual or part of an organization, and some tips for free. So first, what do we do at Assiettes Végétales? So this is to contribute to this normalization that we also two other friends, we started Assiettes Végétales and I want to talk about now about our experience as a new group on university canteens. Not because it's particularly interesting, but because it may help you to do the same thing. So the first thing is that we aim to do to make the student demand more visible to the people we talk to the officials we are targeting. I think it's essential that they know that there is a demand, because after all, they are working to fulfill that demand. Their whole job is about that. And we do that through classic stuff like demos. In this kind of demos that we often do in universities, we show the friendly approach with vegetable costumes. And what we do is that with local students, we gather in front of university canteens and we make signed petition cards. And doing that, people who come in the restaurants are adding their voice for a vegan, for a plant-based option. But we mainly do that not to do outreach, but to get local media coverage. We found out that with the coverage we got, we were starting to get responses from these officials we were targeting. Because I think we only exist when you have an article in the media. So that's how it works. And I think these kind of demos are positive because we got a positive feedback. It's non-confrontational and it's generally nice to do. I would recommend, if you do demos like this, to warn the people you're targeting before so they don't take it like an attack, like a stab in the back. The other thing, sorry, yeah, this is me as a pig. The other thing we did is involving student unions. I guess in many countries there are student groups or unions that are good to bring on the table. And we are trying to involve them in our demands as much as we can because they are legitimate. And we even got local media coverage by doing so in one of the regions we're working on. And we are aiming to do so in Paris and its region in September. This is one of the articles we got. This is really nothing in itself. An article in itself is nothing, but it showed that to the administration we are targeting that we are capable of having press and potentially damage their reputation or say good things about them in the media. The third thing we do is having an online contact form. This is very basic, but we provide a contact form online, pre-filled. People put their name and they can reach out to their local administration saying, hey, I'm a student there and I can't eat vegan or something like this. Please add a plant-based option. And I think it's good if you can rally a lot of people online. It's a way to show the demand in another way that petition cards are just protest. It's more personal because the person who's going to receive this type of image, maybe it's the first time that he or she is seeing the demand this way. But the risk is that it may be considered as spam if you have too many supporters writing. And the last thing is that we have local volunteers, of course. We are in touch with students who want to get more involved. So they are participating by meeting the chef, whether in the restaurants where they eat, organizing demos, or meeting the officials and just campaigning. And I think it's a very good thing to have someone campaigning for you somewhere. It's more efficient than campaigning yourself for everywhere. The second big thing we do is to build up our credibility, because all the prejudices that you know, of course, about applying to plant-based food, vegan, activism in particular. I think that's also a way to reduce the gap of symbolic power there is between an administration, public grants, and just activists like us. So to do that, we got the public support from a medic, a doctor, specialized in plant-based nutrition, and we did a video with him where he says that basically it's a good thing that if university were doing more plant-based choice. And in all our meetings, we say that he can help balance the nutritional meals. He can help balance the meals nutritionally. So it's really good to bring this on the table because if they are scared of nutritional problems that we have joker. And we also bring on the table some scientists, like this person. She's co-chairman of a study group in the EPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And she publicly supports our campaign. But we also have an open letter from climate scientists targeting one of the regions that got press, saying to this administration, well, you should do something for climate because plant-based meat is not great. So it's a way to prevent any critics like, oh, you're not legitimate, or you don't know what you're talking about. If you bring top scientists on the table, it's harder to meet this kind of critics. And of course, the third thing is that we do corporate work. We contact the regional administrations. And I guess for some of you, this is something you know, corporate work. But as you can imagine, getting a meeting isn't really just sending one email. You have to push. So getting a meeting is one thing, but during these meetings, we offer them recipes that are tailored for their needs, and we also offer them cooking for the chefs, for starting to cook plant-based, which is quite new for them. So my aim is to make us look as service providers rather than annoying activists, which of course we are, but we want to hide it as much as we can. And now it's time to talk about some results and some problems we are experiencing. Let's start with the positive things. I've had 10 meetings with 10 administrations out of 24 in total, and some of them are willing to progress, which is good. A plant-based menu is now advertised in several restaurants, in university restaurants in France. And in one of them, this is our flagship, to be honest, 25% of the students are choosing the vegan options in average. It's their data, so I think it's reliable. So this is really good, and the funny thing is that they did it in this restaurant more or less against the will of their managers. But it's working. As a side effect to our efforts, to our campaign, the vegetarian option is in huge progress in Paris and its region. So the thing is that they were late on the vegetarian option in this region, and they started catching up. And there is an unknown, but I think important part of plant-based meals involved in it, but since they are not labeling it, we don't really know. At first I wasn't sure whether to be happy or not, but now I'm very happy about it because of course it's a step forward. I think another good thing is that all the administrations we're targeting have heard about us even if they didn't grant a meeting to us. And this is good because when you plant an idea for the first time, this is always a positive thing. Even if they reject you, I think they've heard about the idea, and when someone else will come up with the same idea, they will say, oh, I've heard about it. Yeah, that's, I guess, because of us in this particular context. And another type of canteen where I'm working on, beside our main campaign, the city of Strasbourg, where I live, reduced the price of the vegetarian menu for kids in school in order to facilitate family choice for vegetarian meals. Now it's time for the problems. We have lost contact with some administration, and some of them are not responding at all. Some of them also told us nice stories and didn't do anything, but I guess that's what's happening in all the corporate work that you may do. It's going very slowly. So if you start a Cyril campaign, don't be surprised that the take time is not the same as yours. I think it looks like they are heavily reluctant to change, and they cultivate status quo for cultural reasons and organizational reasons, and they're very slow on everything. The topic of plant-based food also triggers a lot of negative reactions, as you may have noticed, and it's the case also for this kind of decision makers that we are facing, and that is blurring the outcomes of our requests. The people we are talking to have fears and cliches about what we are offering. Also, it seems that some of the chefs are very attached to the culinary French tradition, with a lot of cream, a lot of cheese, a lot of meat and stuff. And yeah, they're just ignorant of what is a plant-based meal, so it's hard to talk about what it is because they have no idea. So you have to, maybe show some examples before. The funny thing also in our situation, and maybe you will face it if you start doing so, is that the managers sometimes have a hard time to say to the chefs, well, you should try to change the way you cook and have some plant-based options. So the line of command is not really efficient. And the last problem, it's for now I'm the only one working for this campaign. But it's going to change now. So now we're going to talk about things that may be useful if you want to start a similar campaign. Of course, I can only speak from my experience in France. The specificity of university canteens in France is undoubted. Nonetheless, I think some aspects of our campaign can be useful to anyone who wants to start a similar one in their country. In France, there are 650 university restaurants, and they're all run by 24 regional administrations. They are public run, and all these administrations are headed by a national one. Restaurants are more or less autonomous, depending on the local context, and some of them are grouped in what they call sites with its own director. So we can say that it's quite unclear and it's very messy. But this organizational mishmash is actually increase our opportunities to step in someone's door. Because if you have a rejection from someone, you can just go to another restaurant, another administration, and so on. But also it's much more work than if it were centralized. I prepared a list of questions that maybe you should ask yourself if you want to start this kind of campaign in order to narrow it down and go to the point. The first question would be, what sector do you want to target? Because, of course, the catering system is not a block. And the question is it winnable? Do you have a reasonable hope to think that you can win? Maybe you don't want to start with I don't know, prisons or hospitals because there are rules playing that are hard for you. What is its relative size and the most cost-effective? And I mean by that, if you start to campaign on one particular, I don't know, company canteen, and you spend a whole year on it, maybe it's more efficient to go for a bigger target if you have reasonable hope that it will grant some results. And the third question is what are the legal environment and nutritional rules that are applying to this kind of target that you want to pursue. I don't know in your countries. In France, the rules, for example, are very strict for elderly people or kids still. So it would be hard for us to lead a campaign for plant-based food in these sectors. But yeah, of course, it depends on your country. Also, how will the way it is organized shape your campaign that you're going to do? Can you reach out to the public? In our case, we just do target universities because students are adults, are they supposed to be, and you can talk to them and you can involve them. But if you go to prisons, then it's going to be harder to, of course, to talk to the public. And sometimes it makes sense to involve the public, of course. Can you also reach out to the leaders and to the managers or influence them? This is a basic question to ask yourself. And what is the relevant scale of your campaign? Do I go for the head and the top administration, or do I go to each and every restaurant? It's up to you. And the last one I would recommend maybe is how will you address the target that you choose according to the specificity to the mentality. For example, would you ask them for a plant-based option? Would you ask them for a second plant-based option if it already exists? Would you go for a meat reduction campaign? Because that's also a good thing, I guess. And would you change the type of meat, for example? So there are a lot of questions that you need to, of course, ask yourself to define what would be your campaign. And for that, Provege issued webinars in order to have people doing that. It's mainly centralizing on schools school lunch, but it offers a lot of good strategies and questions for people in this situation. And I'm going to show you the address. So I'm sure they will share it with you. If you want to ask this person, she has recorded the webinar she did, and they have some toolkits and stuff that are nicely done. Finally, I want to give you some tips from our experience. So, of course, we are a very small organization with a specific target, so maybe it doesn't apply to you, but I hope this is some good general advice still. I think asking for a plant-based meal, depending on which country you live in, can be perceived as weird or even negative. And I noticed that our motivations as professionals, activists, as persons, can seem incomprehensible to them. And it's really making it hard to establish trust and positive dialogue. It makes it harder for them, to relate to you if they don't understand who you are. So now I'm trying to explain what are our motivations in words and ideas that they can understand and accept, in order to facilitate this dialogue. And so I would recommend working on your storytelling. This looks maybe a bit boring, but the people you will negotiate with will trust you more. If you tell them who you are, what kind of organization they are facing, and how you're doing your campaign. I noticed that during my meeting that you didn't really understand why I was doing this and what kind of weirdo I was. I have no idea. And the first thing we did is to ban the word vegan. I guess due to the French context and my experience, it makes sense. Maybe in your countries too. I think generally plant-based is about food and vegan is about political fight or something else. And you don't want to bring a war in the meeting room. The civil, my target is civil servants, so they don't really want to start talking about vegan. So plant-based is more something that you can accept, I guess. Similarly, in meetings, we don't come up with animal rights reason, or as less as we can, because I think it can only bring conflicts and rather than consensus that we need. And it makes things harder for us. Eventually the outcome of the meeting will be helping animals a lot, but hopefully. But you don't have to tell them. And I think they have their own ideas, they won't change them unless you... No, actually they won't change them at all. And yeah, we are here to change the menus, not their minds. The other thing is, and it applies to me because some of you are professionals, but to switch from an activist to a professional, because your targets will have a completely different idea of you. The outcome will be completely different if they think that they identify you as a professional. I would also recommend using their words, complying to their norms and their objectives if they want to be cost effective, if they want to provide the best service to their customers. Anything they have in mind due to the particular administration culture or company culture, use it and make it yours, and make your own objectives look their objectives in their words. In my case, I felt the need to bring a lot of legitimacy, additional legitimacy to the campaign we were doing, because I think it's good to not talk only about yourself. It can be parents if you're working on school canteens, it can be employees if you're working on company canteens, it can be scientists, it can be medics, or it can be also chefs who are successfully implementing a plant-based option. If another chef is on the table, he or she will say, oh, someone who is like me is doing it, it's working, it's great. I've talked to someone, I think it was from Outward, I'm not sure, who told me that a vegan challenge got the support from the Ministry of Health or something, and they got the logo. And I think a good logo from an institution is always good. Institutions are, as we know, always right. I would also say it's nearly over, I promise. To use the media. You can use the media in 3 ways: to be known, of course, to push your target, so this is a stick, and to congratulate your target and encourage and show good example. This is a carrot. So, for example, if your target is doing a new plant-based option, you write a press article, you do some kind of event, and then you can use this press article to show to your other targets, look, the other restaurants got good press coverage, and maybe you can have the same. And the last promise is to know your topic. It can sound very obvious, but it will make the person you're talking to feel valued and understood in their work and in their difficulties also. And it will help you ask for something that they can and possibly want to do. For example, if you ask them to add very weird or rare ingredients to the menu, they will say, no, we can't do that, you don't know your topic. Or if you're asking them to do a change in 2 weeks, they will say, no, there's no way, you don't know how my work is actually working. And that's it. Thank you for listening. One of the plant-based menu we got, and if you want to contact me, here's my contact detail. Thank you.
Okay. I can shout. Technology doesn't like me. Wait a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, you can go with this.
Thank you. This was very helpful. I am very interested in that part where you talk about complying to their views and in negotiations, trying to find the overlap of your interests and their interests. How do you then also track if plant-based menus save them money, for instance? Do you track that long term, or do you do research into that ahead of time? And the same for carbon footprints, because I know large companies often have goals for that. If you also
The thing is, it really depends on what they are cooking, because they could be tempted to do very intricate menus, and then it will cost you more than the normal menu. So, and there are very little experiences of plant-based food right now. So fortunately, we don't have this data. And yeah, I guess it's very hard to know also the carbon footprint. We have global studies, of course, on the IPCC from United Nations and stuff, but it's very hard to calculate to a single case. So I guess I'm using more general arguments, saying that effectively, yeah, a menu could be much cheaper plant-based, but I've no clear data to prove it. I just know from chefs, it's just out of. So it's a disappointing response, I'm sorry.
do you know if they track it? Like a big university cafeteria or catering business probably knows what their costs are at the end of the year compared to last year. Do you talk to them?
So we hope that we can really learn a lot from the restaurants I was the particular restaurant I was talking about, with 25% of students taking the plant-based option. But now it's quite new, so they don't really have this kind of data. And I'm not sure that I'm tracking, actually. I'm not sure that I'm in a culture of tracking things. I guess it would be very different for corporate, for company canteens, where it's big groups, and they are, of course, looking at these kind of indicators. But in university canteen, it's a bit more, casual. Sorry.
process, like let's say you chose one dental university and you say, I'm gonna go and try to offer a plant-based, what's the first step and then just in a little bit like
Do you mean how I choose my target?
once you choose it, when you chose it, then you talk to the students, you talk to the
I guess we always try to write to them first before anything. If they respond, it's very good. And if they don't, yeah, we start doing demos and this kind of process. But for now it's really we are trying things, So when we talk to one administration, maybe they will respond, maybe they will not. We don't really know. And also it depends whether we have activists on the ground, because I think it makes no sense to start using demos as a tool if you can only do one. Makes us look, I think, weak. But if we have activists on the ground, then we can start organizing regular things and show them that we're here. And even to university, we don't respond. We have this unions trick. We just try to renew our domain with unions, and that worked in some cases because they can really refuse to see the student representatives. We also have the scientist trick. We can find scientists in this particular university and try to bring them around the table with us. So there are a lot of things to do if they don't reply to you. It just takes time. So of course we have to know the numbers of our targets for now.
Thank you for your talk. It was actually very motivating. I work for a Danish youth organization, and we've tried doing similar campaigns in the city I live in, which is a big university city. We had some problems, and I kind of wanted to ask if you have any tips for us. So it's twofold. The first one is that the university does not allow us on campus. We can't be inside the building. So if we were trying to ask people to give a signature to show their support of the campaign, they would ask us to be outside. And the problem with that university is there are 10 different entrances. So people are coming from all different areas, and we would only hit maybe, in 4 hours, we would maybe be able to talk to 20 people. The second thing is that I totally agree about the, using the plant-based term instead of vegan. When we do talk to, because we're a youth organization, a lot of our activists are, students at the university. And when we tell them, we want to help you eat vegan at the university, but so I'm kind of scared that when I contact the cantina, they say that, okay, we'll do vegetarian, but not vegan. Do you have any experience with if they would only go vegetarian or not fully plant-based?
The sad thing is that they will do eventually what they want to do.
Yeah.
But we try to define what is plant-based in our letters, so it's clear, but it's never really clear to them anyway. I think the best thing you can do is to give definition of what you want. It'll be very clear. As for your demos, I guess we had the problem in one of the regions, and we just went away. I think you can try to find also tactics like leafleting inside the room. You have one student putting leaflets on the tables and stuff like this. I think it's a bit dodgy, but you can always try to inform students in different ways. But if your aim is to involve the students, and if you can't leaflet, then maybe you should use, I don't know, Facebook or student Facebook groups. I think it's quite a good target. If I had more time, I would spend my days on Facebook groups.
Yeah. Maybe we can talk.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you are aiming at is that plant-based options in the canteens every day, or is it like a plant-based
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't very clear, I guess. Yeah, our aim is to have a plant-based option every day for everyone. And that is, preferably, we would like it to be advertised and good. But yeah, we thought that asking for one day a week for everyone would be seen as something against freedom and all this stuff. And yeah, so we asked for this choice. Importantly, we always value the word choice because it has such a positive connotation in our neoliberal world that if you say choice, nobody can be against choice. Never a choice, but they think there is. So I think it's a very good thing to use. Because nobody wants to say, no, I don't want anyone to have the choice to eat what they want to eat. It makes them look a bit...
Except perhaps that it is difficult to make more dishes than there are already
It's, what?
except perhaps that the staff in the kitchen can say that, well, we can't manage to make any more dishes than we already do.
Yeah, this is an important thing if you want to target something, it's to know if it's possible. And in our case, it was because they are supposed to do a vegetarian option, and most of the time they always do, I don't know, three lines, for meat, exotic stuff, pizzas or fish. So there is space in most of the restaurants to do what we ask for, but it's a very good thing to check before you start targeting something.
It had to happen at some point. So sorry about that. And yeah, thank you all very much.
Thank you.